We're recording. Welcome y'all to the Born Unbreakable book launch release party with Coach Dez.
Wow!
So this was going to be like a gathering of maybe 20 people, but then it turned to 40, 60, 80 people. Thank you guys so much for supporting Dez. You talk.
Yeah,
Does it mean a lot to you, Dez, that your family and friends are here?
I'm so overwhelmed. I have to say that it just hit me today, this whole thing of writing a book. And I had a moment in between coming back from Europe and being with family and going straight back into work and coaching executives and everything. And I sat down and I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. Like, girl, you wrote a book. I was like, okay, that's cool. But, none of it means anything without all of you. And that's really why I wanted to do this, to just appreciate all the people that have been there for me. My best friends from the Bay Area. I have people just, flying in. My kickboxing community is here. We look cute. We're not, we're still sweaty, but, we actually have makeup on and stuff. My mom, wave over there.
Yeah.
Mom. And her amazing colleagues even came. So I just appreciate all of you for being here. And before we jump in, because DJFNA has a very tight schedule that he likes to keep, I want to thank him, because we would all be hungry. There would be no lighting. There would be no audio. There would be nothing happening if it wasn't for this guy. So thank you. He does.
It's what I do. It's what I do.
It's what he does.
So this is a podcast show. We're actually filming a podcast show that's going to go on, and this is going to, you guys are on camera, so you guys can all wave. Yeah, where everybody's here.
What?
So we have an audience. And towards the end, we are going to do some Q&A. All right, so if you guys have some questions or you want to think about some questions, I'm going to pass the mic around so you guys can ask Coach Dez some questions. And then right after, we are going to do the book signing, so you guys can get your book signed. If you guys don't have a book, we are selling some books. Just let me know. But let's jump right into it. So, Coach Dez,
Yes.
When you decided to write this book, what was that feeling, that thought of when you first started? Was it fear? Did you think you got this? Or what was that initial feeling before you wrote this book?
Yeah. It was everything. I think it was fear at first, because it really started with when people were listening to the podcast, they would say, so when is your book coming out? Just assuming that was going to happen. And I think the genesis of the book was my own limitations. So that's why I wrote about self-limiting beliefs, because I constantly feel, like probably many of you, that you have imposter syndrome when you start anything new. And so I felt nervous. And then when I decided to write it, I joined a writing program, and staring at a blank page was terrifying. It's like, how do you fill this with something meaningful that can impact somebody? But once I started the process, I realized that I was writing the book for people, the person that I once was. And I was the student, and I still am the student of everything that I talk about in the book.
Now, who is this book for?
Anybody who has felt like they're not worthy, like they felt limited, like they feel like they wake up and say they can't. In any aspect. I know for me, going through heartbreak, going through divorce, losing a father when I was young. There were so many things that I went through that I just felt like was going to hold me back, that I couldn't persevere. And part of it was doing podcasting, is there's so many people who are in that same space, who feel like they can't get past something. And that's why it's really for everyone.
So you're writing this book. I know when you're writing, there's editing. So because we have an audience here, was there something that didn't make the book? Because when you're writing stuff, you have an idea, you're like, I don't know if I should put that in there, but is there something that you kind of left out?
I don't think I cut anything out that I didn't want to be in there, because the best version of you is the authentic version where people need to hear things that you went through. So you need to keep that stuff in. I think what got cut out or modified was the way a story was told. So when you talk about, one person's story could be another person's betrayal, right? So when I talk about something like divorce, I wanted to make sure that I did that with grace, that it was about the journey that I went on, not, interrogating what didn't work out with somebody.
So as you're writing this book, you're going through all your experiences through your life, your divorces, a lot of these paths that you took, some of the things that, these brick walls that you ran into. You mentioned losing your father at 9 years old, okay? How much of that, losing him, was it you going through life having to learn, or did you ever kind of feel like he was there kind of telling you stuff as you were going through? Because, a lot of people, when we're going through stuff, we have friends, family, our parents to go to. But, in those times, did you felt like there was a voice there or something kind of telling you? Or was it just more like the absence of him was maybe the reason why you were able to learn all this stuff, to be able to kind of like give somebody else, maybe a younger generation, kind of a roadmap of what not to go through?
Yeah. I think that he's always with me. All the memories that I've had of my father is him teaching me something. He taught me how to pray. He taught me how to have forgiveness. He taught me discipline. I used to redo my homework. I remember those distinctive things, and he, as an immigrant, so my father was an immigrant from the Philippines, and he joined the Army, and, he taught me what dedication really looked like. And so I've always carried that with me, and I've always asked myself at every important decision that I've ever made, whether it was the college that I was going to choose, whether it was a relationship or anything, I always would ask myself, what would he say? Would this decision make him proud? Because I always hear his voice. But I've definitely learned from other people that have been there in my life. My brother-in-law is somebody for over 20 years that has, been like that figure, a brother figure, but definitely, somebody that has been there for me.
I'm pretty sure he's smiling down on you right now. I'm very proud of you. So say his name.
Fidel.
Yes.
My dad, Fidel. Yeah.
So shout out to him. And now you have these 5 steps to overcoming your self-limiting beliefs. Is this something that's set in stone? Or do you think over time, as you go through the next 40 years of your life, will that change?
Yeah, the 5 steps is something that it's cyclical. You're going to go through them at all times. So you're going to find yourself assessing when you feel like you're at a roadblock, analyzing how you got there, adjusting little things to move yourself in a different direction, taking action, and making sure that your behaviors are aligning towards the person that you want to become. I believe that we are constantly evolving. I don't want to be the person that I was 5 years ago because there's a better version of me. And 5 years from now, I think I should be a better version than this. So I think that it's a perpetual cycle to go through the 5 steps.
Now, since you've wrote this book, after you've submitted it, and how long ago was this?
So it came out in January, so about a year ago is when I...
So this whole year, did you ever find yourself referencing back to your book?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Yeah. In conversations, especially when people are going through things, I'm like, well, it seems like you're at step 3, in the book or whatever it is. But I think that's why there's such genuineness in it, because I wouldn't write about something that I wasn't personally applying to my life or going through. So I find myself going back to it because there's always new situations that emerge that I question my ability to get past it.
Great. So we're going to give you guys the floor to maybe ask Coach Dez some questions that you may want to ask, a Q&A. We're going to open up the floor. So does anybody want to go first? Anybody have any questions? If not,
we didn't tell you this part that you were going to be live on a podcast.
Here we go.
Yeah. The world is going to hear this.
I don't want to put you in the spot, but I do have a question. In your book, you speak of your sexual orientation. heterosexual authors don't reveal that they're heterosexual. Why did you feel the need to do that?
I think because, part of my message being be unapologetically you, which the bag I handed out to everyone, is that I think it's important for us to represent things that sometimes are ostracized, sometimes feel like, I know that there's people who feel that they can't be themselves because it's a minority thing, and they always try to downplay and want to fit into society. I think all of us at some point have felt that sense to fit in, and I felt the need to share that. So it was a little piece of me sharing with people my authenticity, whether or not people agree with it. I'm gonna share things, and I hope people are encouraged to share parts of them too. It's not about trying to convert anyone or convince anyone to believe what I believe, but I think we can stand next to one another and have respect for our different, ways that we view things.
So these 5 steps to overcoming limiting beliefs, where do the limiting beliefs start?
Oh gosh. The first place it starts is in our experiences. The way that we're raised and the experiences that we have, whether it's in the home or in school, there's, if you were picked last from a sports perspective, or if you were the one that did get picked, when it was time to date, or someone broke up with you and you didn't feel worthy of love, it builds up through the experiences that we have, and then we start to tell ourselves a story. Oh, I must not be lovable. I must not be good enough to do this. I must not be smart enough because I can't get hired, or I can't get promoted. So there's a whole host of things, but it's the different experiences that we have.
And on these limiting beliefs, do they mostly come from home or where you grow up, or when you start going out in public?
Oh, I think it's both.
Yeah.
I think for me, going back to the question about, sexuality, is you grow up in a certain way, whether it's from a religious standpoint, the traditions that you have, and when you go out. When I went to UC San Diego for school, and the philosophy of the college that I went to was called Making of the Modern World, and you were required to learn about Buddhism, Confucianism, Hinduism, Christianity, Judaism, and you realize there's this whole vast world out there that is more than just what you grew up with. And so it's so much more expansive, and it makes you question a lot of things. And I think that's, part of our evolution, is getting exposed to different things.
So does anybody else want to jump in? Does anybody have a question? Okay. Donna, come on over here so we can see you.
Donna, hailing all the way from the Bay Area, flew in today. Yeah.
Okay, more of a statement, but also ending with a question. In the book, you reference there is a part of your life you go through a breakup, but this breakup ends up being your breakthrough. And I loved that phrase. And I was just wondering, how do you apply that, and how frequently are you applying that in your coaching that you do?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I think that oftentimes the moments that we have are the hardest, are where we learn the most lessons. And so if you haven't gotten to this point in the book, maybe it's a little bit of a teaser, it's in the beginning, is that before I started Born Unbreakable, I was a part of Blissful Fortitude, which was a 2-partner, podcast, coaching, and my partner and I went down different paths because our lives started to shift. And so that was one of the very first limitations that I had, was I envisioned doing all of this in that specific partnership. And when that didn't happen, I had to ask myself, am I capable of doing this on my own? And, how is that even going to happen? And so my breakthrough was having to be introspective and look at my ability to do something different. And then that's when I called him. And this was all born,
that was like a week. You had told me that, hey, you know what, my partner's gonna do something else,
Right.
You just invested into podcasting, and then we had to rebrand in a week.
We were at least 20 grand, like invested in all kinds of different things.
And
probably
Born
more.
Unbreakable.
Right.
It's funny because I was looking at our old stuff, and then the first Born Unbreakable logo is so horrible. I'm glad it turned into this. But also, Donna just got married about a month ago. About a month ago.
June 30th.
And Dez married her, so she is ordained. So might have to call her Holiness, her Holiness Dez. Anybody else? Yes, right here.
Lindsay.
I'm so proud of you. This is amazing to see. I'm so glad to be a part of it.
Thank you.
You have always been a goal-oriented person. Like, she sends out the email with everything that your goals for the upcoming year. And I see a lot of you achieving a lot of those things. And I'm wondering if there's something that you have that you're like reaching for, that you see next for yourself, that especially if there's any self-limiting beliefs surrounding it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that question. There's always something next, isn't it? I think one of the things that I struggle doing is to pause. Is to just pause. I'm always being still is something that I have to work on. And so recently, because my sister celebrated her 50th birthday, it took moving heaven and earth for me to leave the country and leave behind all of this businesses and, running things. And I realized that when I was far away, in Italy and in London with my family, is that two things. One, I want to spend more time traveling, just personally, because I think the world gives you incredible perspective. I think that it reminds me of everything that I'm grateful for, that I think sometimes we take for granted. But two, I want to be able to do the kinds of things that we do internationally. So, it's big, it's lofty, but I would love to be having this kind of conversation in Canada and in Japan, right? I think that, and that's possible. I do think it's possible. So I would love the opportunity to do more of this on a larger scale.
Yeah. Book number 2. coming soon. Yeah. So coaching, I know for me, when I first met you, it was kind of foreign to me. Growing up as a Latino from Texas, it was like, why do people need to have a coach? Like, you don't do therapy. You don't do that. But at the same time, though, what I realized when you would talk about how you're helping people and coaching was this. I started realizing how fortunate I am to have great parents who laid a good foundation. So very fortunate to have that. And once I recognized that, I started to see wow, there's other people that may not have had that. You know what I mean? So the whole concept of coaching is still kind of new to me. And it's been really great to see how you allow people to be vulnerable, And I think when you can have somebody that you can be yourself and talk about your challenges and maybe insecurities, then you can, that's a really good thing. So I think for me now, what I've noticed is taking my foundation and kind of looking at others and going like, oh, well, how can I help? So that's a really cool thing. So you doing this book, it's kind of, for me, it's been really good to see, that you are pretty much solidified now. Like I feel like once you have a book, it's like, I know what I'm talking about, So seeing you help a lot of people has been a good thing. Anybody else? Anybody, family members? Mom, are you proud of Dez? Yeah? Did you read what she wrote about you in the book already? No.
There's a whole chapter.
There's a whole chapter on mom. But your sister's not here, so let's talk about her since she's not here.
She's coming.
So before she gets here, let's
landing.
talk about her, okay? So I noticed you talk because you guys are what, like 10 years?
We're 9 years apart.
9 years apart,
Yeah.
okay? And kind of explain to everybody if they don't know that relationship of being that far and how it was maybe 20 years ago
Yeah.
to now?
Yeah. You know, it's funny when I probably developed a complex, because and my mom knows that. My sister and I had a completely different relationship when I was young than the one that we do today. Being 9 years apart, you don't have anything in common for a really long time. So for a while, I was always in the shadow. I felt like I was annoying. I felt like I was a nuisance. She would lock me outside. I always felt like I was trying to be just good enough to meet her standards. And she graduated high school when she was 16. So she's super smart. She was a flight attendant, so she traveled the world. So there was always something that I was like, maybe if I just do this, maybe if I just do that, maybe if I just do this, like she can look at me and think something of me that's more than an annoying little sister. And, I'm grateful. It was probably and Renee, oh my gosh, my high school friend Renee is here. It was probably not until like my 16th, I think you smashed a cake in my face, I'm pretty sure. I think you did, not gonna, just being honest. But
That was left out of the book.
yeah,
so.
that part wasn't in there. But it wasn't until I was a teenager that my sister and our relationship evolved, and then she saw the things that I was accomplishing, and then she was going through her own different kinds of struggles in life. And it was when we could bond over that, then I became a confidant and now a mentor. But it took a while for us to turn the corner there. So yeah.
And the relationship with your sister now is really good. She just celebrated her 50th birthday. You guys went, on a trip together, spent 10 days. I don't know why you didn't invite your mom, but but the dogs, that's right, yeah.
They cannot be left alone.
Now, and I know for your mom, how has it been for her to see that relationship change?
Yeah. I think, for my mom, even us going on this trip, she was happy that my sister and I have this kind of relationship and that we're there for each other. I think one of the things too, and for any of you who have siblings and have differences of opinions and different experiences, is we have one life, just one. So holding grudges and having misunderstandings, I've had the misfortune of having a lot of death in my family unexpectedly. And every time that has happened to me, it's a reminder that tomorrow isn't promised. And so I do the best that I can, despite having disagreements or viewing things differently, to honor and cherish the relationships in my life, especially my family.
That's good. And now I also I want to kind of talk about something that kind of is something that kind of bugs you a lot, is when, being at age 40, you have a book. You've been at the company Huron for almost 20 years now, well accomplished, a lot of great friends and family, but then you're kind of looked at different because you don't have kids. So let's talk about that. How now, because you wrote a book, do you feel like you're fulfilling something, or does that not matter to you? How does that still bother you when people go like, oh, you're 40, are you going to have kids? Yeah. You know what I mean?
People are like, there might be some eggs that can still work, girl, and that was a really big struggle for me, I think, in the last 5 years, because in that last little window of your 30s, I have been told everything. You can freeze your eggs, you can everything that you can possibly do. And I have to be honest, and to this day, there is a feeling of inadequacy a little bit. Growing up in a Catholic family where procreation is a legit objective, if I felt like I was a disappointment. You got everything, why not that too? And so I have made peace with what I've chosen, with who I am, and the fact that I have a lot of amazing children and young people that I influence, and that is so fulfilling to me. Being an aunt, being a pseudo, mom to Donna, and my friends' kids when they need advice and things like that is super fulfilling.
That's great. Any last questions? There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
Any last questions before we wrap up? Yes,
Monique.
Monique.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so proud of you. I want to know your favorite part about making a book. I mean, you know all the struggles, but what was your favorite part? Because there might be people in here wanting to potentially do it.
Yeah.
I want to know what your most proudest moment is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's such a good question, Monique. You know, I think for me, it was enjoying the process of everything that I've learned and soaking that in and having a sense of appreciation for the things that have been hard. Because I think if they weren't, I wouldn't be who I am. You know, so for every difficult part that I had to write, getting to the other side of that was a testament to the fact that I could, and a testament to the fact that I think I fully believe that we are all capable. And part of the reason, you know, of me sharing the stories of other people that I've interviewed is because there might not be something that somebody reads about me and relates to. You know, if you're a parent, or if you believe in certain kind of relationships or a religion, but hopefully there was somebody, you know, that maybe they found that they had a connection with in some way. And so I think that the second thing that I felt appreciative of is the people that I've met from so many walks of life. Tammy, oh my gosh, you know, WO3, I've been a part of her executive committee, and she owns this amazing brasserie company. We'll share her website. You need to go check out her stuff. It's amazing. But the community that you cultivate, being able to write about the people that have impacted me, was a really great reflection in this process, because this book was more personal for me.
Great. So, and you did do this book in a really short amount of time. So yeah. You did kind of like an intensive, right?
Yeah, it was. You had to have a draft written in 90 days. Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that's the right way to write a book, you know, because I know there's a lot of people that take their time and, you know, are going to sit there and really think it out, you know. But I know being a music producer, sometimes it's like when you get in the zone, you just like to write through.
Right.
So, but that's definitely one good way to get through it, just to, you know, hunker down and just, you know, push. Now, do you feel the quality? Do you feel like if you had more time?
No.
No.
I don't think it's about time. I think it's about your commitment to it. You know, I think having to, I think the time almost forced me to make it a priority. You know, knowing that I actually took a sabbatical for 6 weeks from consulting and coaching, and that was an opportunity for me to really reflect and concentrate on this goal that I had to write a book. And so it was honoring something to myself that I believe I should do.
Great. Round of applause for Coach Dez. Born Unbreakable, the book is out now. This is really good to see a lot of family and friends here. And if you guys have already gotten your book, we are going to have a QR code if you guys can leave a review. Also, if you guys want a book, Dez is going to come up right here, and we're going to set up a table. You guys are you're going to be able to sign some books. And we also have a special announcement in 30 minutes, okay? Special announcement that Dez is going to announce. We'll be showing a video at 6 o'clock. And at 6:30, we're going to be doing the raffle, giving some prizes away. So I hope you guys like the food.
He cooked it.
Shout out to our bartender. So good. And that's it. That's another episode of the Born Unbreakable podcast show. Thank you guys for being a part of it. And let's sign some books.
Yay! Thank you so much. I'm Coach Dez, co-host of the Born Unbreakable podcast and author of Born Unbreakable, the book. Masterminds transformed my life, and I want them to transform yours. 4 years ago, I joined a mastermind, and it has taken my self-worth and my net worth to new heights. If you've never heard of a mastermind, it's a community of like-minded people who want to supercharge every aspect of their life with expert guidance from yours truly. I've coached people from all walks of life for the past 2 decades. I know what you're thinking. What will you get? You will get alignment, action, and accountability every week on interactive Zoom calls with me. Oprah, Tom Brady, Tony Robbins, LeBron James, they all have coaches. So why not you? I've had more than one coach in my life. You will also build a community of savers, people who support you, are aligned with you, value add to your life, elevate you, and rise with you. The Born Unbreakable Mastermind launches on October 1st. In the last 90 days of 2024, I will help you unleash your maximum potential to transform your health, wealth, and relationships. It's $199 per month, and if you sign up in the next 48 hours, it's $149 per month for the first 3 months. The kicker is that there are only 16 slots available and they will fill up quickly. So if you are ready right now to make 2025 your best year yet, sign up at bornunbreakable.com.